Well, Mary, families are being torn apart because of this gun violence, and the chief says none of this is okay. He told me even though his department is severely short-staffed, officers are doing their best to track down these suspects and hold them accountable. This is what chaos looks like when 80 rounds of gunshots are fired. The terror playing out at a bar by T-Mobile Park as people duck for cover with bullets flying just after midnight Saturday.
And that's actually one of my biggest concerns, is to have that many rounds fired and no one else hurt.
When the gun battle was over, a 14-year-old girl who snuck out had been shot in the leg. Another man grazed in the head.
We've got to figure out as a society that this is not okay, and we have to have accountability measures in place.
SPD Chief Adrian Diaz was out at morning roll call that Saturday, talking to officers who were trying to keep up with a weekend wave of violence that left 8 victims in Seattle alone.
Just the other week, we had 29 shots fired in a week. That's the most, I mean, it's unheard of to have that number. We're asking people for calmness.
Next to Cal Anderson Park, a memorial now sits on the sidewalk where a man was gunned down. In Rainier Beach, a 16-year-old boy was shot in the shoulder. The mayor condemning the violence.
These kinds of tragedies are, quite frankly, just unacceptable in the city of Seattle and in this country.
Detectives don't think the shootings are connected, but could be anything from random violence to gang activity, homeless-related, and tempers flaring up. While officers are working overtime to boost their presence while dealing with the staffing crisis.
Every life matters. Every life.
Activists are calling the community to step up and be vigilant.
Don't wait till it's your family. You know, we all live here together. Let's support each other and stop the gun violence.
It's hard on officers, but officers are going out and they're going to make sure that they do everything they can to make sure the city is safe.
Mary, the mayor says these incentives will keep Seattle competitive with other cities that are facing officer shortages, but it's just the start. The mayor also wants council support on other priorities that are facing the city.
We want a safe city. That is my first responsibility, my charter responsibility, and I take that very seriously.
And with a 6-3 vote from City Council, a big piece of Mayor Bruce Harrell's public safety plan is now in place. Hiring incentives are available to convince police officers to work in Seattle. The mayor says he could have made the change through executive order, but wanted the council aboard as partners.
I want the council's buy-in. I want them to take ownership so they can recognize in our One Seattle vision that people want effective public safety.
Some 460 officers have left SPD in the past 2.5 years, and the incentive plan is meant to reverse that. The police chief says it's a positive step.
And I think that that'll be a big start for us, but it won't get officers in quickly. What we really need to focus on is making sure that we retain the good officers that we've got.
The mayor says he wants changes to the recruitment process to prioritize diversity and even look at ways to offer tuition assistance to officers. Getting council support on this is just the start for Harrell, who says upcoming budget talks offer more opportunities to collaborate.
And when we look at how we preserve our great park system, we look at our transportation solutions, our climate change strategies, our educational strategies, we're going to come out with some new ideas. But I always say, let's also improve on the basics.
Mary, that's right, but that is not happening. And tonight, I talked to Brent's parents on the phone. They live in Tri-Cities. And while they are relieved that somebody has been caught, they are still so heartbroken at the brutal way their son was murdered. Friends and family say this just goes to show someone this violent should not be allowed back on the streets.
He could have exploded into something really incredible.
Since March, Brentwood's family and friends have been agonizing over who beat him to death in Capitol Hill.
It breaks my heart. It really does. It does.
Kelly Forsyth saw his friend of 8 years just days before a witness found the 31-year-old face down in a laundromat parking lot.
There are nights that it's taken me hours to go to sleep because it's bothered me that much. So yeah. It's been terrible.
Now prosecutors have charged Alexander J. in the murder. Jay is already charged with viciously throwing a woman down the light rail station stairs, then stabbing a second woman 10 times at a bus stop. Just 13 hours later, police say Jay bludgeoned Brent from behind with this heavy piece of rebar. Court documents say the blows were so powerful, the victim's skull was fractured.
To think of someone walking around out there feeling that way towards any other person, was really disturbing.
Detectives sent the rebar to the state crime lab, and a DNA profile on the weapon matched Alexander J.
We are going to continue to ask that violent people like this be held behind bars, and we believe that we can prove these cases.
The murder charge comes as Jay's defense attorney wanted the assault charges dismissed. In June, Jay failed a competency hearing and was ordered to go to treatment, but Western State still has no room for him. A judge did not dismiss the charges.
Honestly, I think he should go to jail for the rest of his life. You know, I wish that we had systems strong enough to treat someone like him.
Well, in addition to what you just mentioned, the new laws also create a protected class for those who have already received or seeking abortions to protect their civil rights. They also create a misdemeanor charge for people who interfere with those seeking abortions or gender-affirming care.
It is now law.
In anticipation of an increase in people coming to the city for abortion-related care, Seattle city leaders are hoping a new set of laws will help.
We anticipate a 300% influx of people seeking abortion care in Seattle. So we have to add every tool in our tool belt to ensure that healthcare access is protected.
The move comes as Idaho's near total ban on abortions is set to take effect in just 10 days.
Pregnant people, whether residents of Seattle or these medical refugees from further afield, don't have the luxury of time to make these difficult decisions. And we know that reproductive health care delayed is almost always more difficult, more expensive, and more risky.
Monday's legislation also earmarked $250,000 in city funds to go to the Northwest Abortion Access Fund. The organization anticipates their funding needs will jump significantly as more will now need to travel for abortion access. They're already getting 3 times the amount of calls compared to last year.
We saw about 54% of our callers coming from Idaho. The majority of them were accessing their care in Idaho, but now we know that they're going to have to travel across state lines. And what that means is that we are going to need to assist them with those travel costs most likely, right, in addition to the funding costs of their procedure.
Organizations like Pro-Choice Washington have been looking at ways to protect abortion access even before the Roe v. Wade decision was leaked. And the work doesn't stop with today's new laws.
There are plenty of issues around access in Washington state that still need to be addressed. And that includes affordability. It includes greater accountability around data privacy and data sharing.
Hi, everyone. I'm Preston Phillips from KOMO News. Thanks for checking out the KOMO YouTube channel. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for more news from the Seattle area and Western Washington. Oh, and don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't miss our YouTube updates.